Dearest, gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the town. We are your effervescent hosts, your neighbourhood-friendly Kiwi, Tash from Middle Earth, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her high vibe, audacious era.
Settle down onto your favourite settee as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the town. This Bridgerton podcast is two friends talking romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and deep diving into the connections of our favourite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers.
Tangent Squad. Today we pair up our siblings and discuss their relationships. The firstborns, the rebels, the babies, Fran and her lonesome, and Pollen, Glasschild and his adopted sister, why they gravitated toward each other, why their relationships work, and how their relationships play into the story.
I even kind of want to dig in a little bit into, if we have time, the relationship between like the older siblings and younger sibling dynamic.
Oh yeah,
if we have time, like I'm pretty sure that we could do an entire episode alone on the Paul Moore matches and the strategies that go into them. But I do love any time that we get the whole sibling dynamic. And it's quite funny because it's not usually Violet in the mix. She just likes to sit back and watch the carnage of like all the different percentages. Like, you know, when you have a child and let's say 20% of me goes into Ezra, 80% of Stephen, and then the next kid comes along and it's 70% me, 30% Stephen. And that's basically what like her sitting back and watching the different percentages of her children and the different levels of chaos and carnage they create because of that together.
Well, and you know, like because you told me, but in the Rokesby book, she always says she was just a vessel for Edmund Bridgerton's children.
Yes.
Like there's more of him in them than her.
Yes, very much.
But I love that with Shonda Rhimes and Julia Quinn giving us Queen Charlotte, we actually get to see, you know, her father in them and things like that as well.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I'm super excited about that.
It was beautiful because we did actually get to see, and that's how Colin came to be. You know, he is the reincarnation of her father.
Oh, agree.
Hopefully without the cheating scandals.
I think Benedict is too, because well, there was no cheating scandal. He was very discreet.
No, yes.
But I think Benedict holds a lot of him in there as well. Like just the way they accept everyone and they try and make everyone feel welcome, you know, like with the Mondricks and everything.
That's very true. Actually,
but before we forget another May case, let's stop the sibling talk.
Well, I want to dig into some of the nitty-gritty of what's happened over the weekend with the awards, and you've got all that info.
Yeah, well, so
you're excused.
Yeah, I don't know if I have I know they went to the BAFTAs.
Yes, so that's what I wanted to talk about.
I didn't watch the BAFTAs, so I don't know if they won anything.
Nicola looked like a radiant goddess.
They both looked phenomenal.
Oh, they did, both of them. Yeah, sorry. Luke Newton, you also look phenomenal. But the reason I say she looked like a radiant goddess is I saw a really funny meme that I've saved. At least I hope I saved it somewhere. And it's Nicola sitting in front and Luke sitting behind her. And the meme went something like, when you can't help but like wanting to soak in the sunshine, like the rays of the goddess in front of you. And like every time Nicola is like mentioned, like Luke's trying to like lean over like, hey Nicola, like, look, it's you, you know, and he's so supportive and so, like you can just see how happy he is for her in that moment. Like that was her nomination. Yes. He's like, this is your moment. And you can see how proud he is. Like, I know a lot of people think that, oh, maybe, you know, they pulled away from their friendship or whatever because he was jealous because she was getting all this attention and he wasn't. But actually, I think that he is just so proud of what she has achieved and they are still the best of friends. You can tell the way that they look at each other. It's no longer just for the cameras. Like they are genuinely in love, like in the most wholesome kind of way. Like not,
and
you know what I mean?
And so I'm going to make two, you know, we have Bridgerton news and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to make the two announcements. So we got a teaser for season 4.
Yes.
Of actual footage and yay. And we're going to talk more about that.
I want to talk church first.
Huh?
I want to talk church first.
Church.
The behind the scenes
Oh, the
footage
church
that's
thing.
been going
Yes.
around of
Oh,
Penelope
the
and
anniversary, because it's the anniversary of pollen season. Yeah. So
happy
we're
anniversary
gonna
team.
yeah, we're gonna talk the teaser on YouTube. So yes, let's talk about the behind the scenes that they threw out there of the rehearsal in the church, which I
I
feel like I'm throwing something out there, and I'm
they
not sure if it's true. I'm not sure if it's true. This is my own speculation, but I have a feeling that our little pocket pen is so tiny that watching the rehearsal, I felt like she was shorter than the actual footage. So I wonder if they put her on a little dancing box. Like, not the box was dancing, but just, a little platformy thing somehow, because she seemed just like an inch or two shorter in the rehearsal behind the scenes. There seemed to be more difference to me. But it just reminded me, like, getting that behind the scenes, because it has been a while since I've watched that scene and watched all the way through
because that
season
was your
3.
favorite pollen scene, right?
That's my favorite romantic scene that I'm
Yes.
so mad did not make it in Miss Mojo's romantic scenes.
Yeah.
But it just reminds me, like, I love that dress, that
It was
periwinkle.
beautiful.
That
You know what
dress
I
is so gorgeous.
realized?
And seeing the behind the scenes, we really get to see, because it's from the opposite side.
Mhm.
We get to see really how her hair is done up, because the decoration is all on her left side, which we don't see because that's not the side they filmed really. You only get to see it briefly when she's twirling, but like on that side, you're seeing it. It's just gorgeous. Like, her hair was gorgeous. Like, that whole thing was, I mean, that just made my heart happy,
I
getting
did.
that
Mine
anniversary
too.
present.
Like this weekend has been just an emotional, tumultuous kind of
Like, I
ride for
can't even
me.
believe it's been a year. Like,
Yeah,
and so do you know what that means, Tosh? That means our 1 year anniversary is coming up.
it is. How cute. You want to come see
How
me?
I wish.
I mean,
I
it's
wish I
not
had the
that
money.
hard to just like secure yourself in a suitcase, throw yourself on the conveyor belt, and just hit your ride.
Put a sticker on me.
But make sure to put in one of those packets of biscuits for me as you throw yourself in things.
Yeah, I'll bring you some Sausalitos.
Thanks, much appreciated.
Okay, and then the other piece of news I wanted to talk about is that we
Lawrence?
got the announcement. No, we got the
Oh,
announcement about seasons 5 and 6.
yes.
So that's huge news.
And because honestly, like there's been so many, I don't know what it is. It's because the 1 year anniversary,
It's
but we
an
had so
avalanche of
many.
news. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So like honestly, okay, this is going to be a long ride before we even start this episode because we did get the announcement of 5 and 6, but I don't think we've actually talked about the fact that that Bridgerton themselves released the let me because Julia Quinn I think was the first one to release this. Let me squizzle up my timeline to find it. Here it is. It says, and this was dropped by it was like a Lady Whistledown kind of article. It says,
Mhm.
Dearest gentle reader, rarely is this author granted the opportunity to share with you such information. It is with great pleasure I can announce Bridgerton shall return for seasons 5 and 6. Do celebrate accordingly. In the meantime, do prepare yourselves, for Bridgerton Season 4 shall debut in 2026. It would seem this author is going to be quite busy. Yours truly, Lady Whistledown. So not only did we get the announcement of 5 and 6, but we also got the confirmation that it is going to be next year that we're getting to season 4, which we knew, but like
Well, and for me, that's not news. We already knew that.
I know, but like it was
And
confirmed.
and what do you think about the red carpet conversation where she said Bridgerton takes 8 months to record, but
9.
this season is taking 9? She goes,
Yeah.
it's a full on pregnancy this season. And
Was that a year and a
everybody
half?
out there, no, that Nicola said that. So
Ah,
everybody's going, they're hinting at another pregnancy, which if they follow baby
I
timelines and
think
there is a time
I
jump,
think
we
there
should
is.
have other pregnancies.
Yes,
So
like from what I've heard, I do believe that like, and I think I said this in the Bridgerton Bros episode that I think that they are going like Colin and
Anthony.
Anthony are both going to have two children in this season coming up, which would make sense with
Yeah.
the timeline because they are all over their wives and there was no protection back then. So you were having babies back to back to back to
You were
back.
having back to back to back to back. Right.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, like in retrospect, it's kind of what our bodies are built to do, but it's not particularly good for women to have children back to back to back to back because our bodies really like a year between to bounce back.
Oh yeah, but there's no healing. Like I picked up A Midsummer Night's Dream to read it since it's going to be the theme of the ball, the masquerade ball. So, and we know from when we talk on YouTube, we'll talk about this, but there's obviously, costumes that pay homage to that. So I picked that up to read it. And just like the premise of that is that this one girl loves a boy, but her dad wants her to marry this other boy. So he brings her to the Duke, and the Duke has to choose her fate. And he gives her the choice, but her choice, like, because her dad's word is what she's supposed to follow. So if she doesn't want to follow her dad's word and marry the boy she doesn't love, then she has to either die or go be a nun. And that was a woman's life back then.
Yeah. Okay. And then in our last piece of news, Florence Hunt, who plays our lovely Hyacinth, who everyone knows at this point, I'm just obsessed with. I think that she's going to be like one of the absolute it stars in Hollywood in another 5 to 10 years. I think she's going to be, the new
Amanda Seyfried, yeah.
Seyfried,
I think it's Seyfried or Seyfried, something like that.
Or
Amanda, sorry for botching it if we
or
did.
the new Jennifer Lawrence. She gives Jennifer Lawrence vibes where, like, I don't think Jennifer Lawrence has ever hit that over sexualized thing in Hollywood, where I think she does a lot of roles that she's quirky or funny or serious, but she's never.
Yeah.
She's
she
never.
gives me Emma Stone vibes.
Yes, Emma Stone is actually one of my favorite. Emma Stone's probably in my top 5 favorite celebrities in Hollywood.
And I don't know if it's her true at-home personality or if it's the personality she's decided to put on for fans, because actors do that.
And Kendrick
and I'm
does
not saying that I'm not talking about their roles that they've played. I'm talking about the person they are in talk shows and interviews and things. But Emma Stone, and well, Jennifer Lawrence too. I've always said Jennifer Lawrence and I could be friends, and Emma Stone and I could be friends. Like, I vibe. If that's not your real personality, I'm so sad about that, because that personality, is fantastic.
This might sound funny, but it 100% is her real personality because of the way that her facial features react and the expressiveness in those actions. There's some things that are acting, and then there's other things that just come so, like the way that she flails herself with her talking. Like,
oh, dude, way, like, my favorite thing of all time is her doing I'm not gonna think of the name of the song, but anyways, it's Blues Traveler, when she did the Blues Traveler song for Lip Sync Battle. And it was fantastic. And then Jimmy goes, like, you really know it or whatever, like, you lip sync. She goes, lip sync. I was basically singing that song. Like, I loved it. Like, she straight up knew all the words.
So Florence Hunt is going to be alongside another lady called Judy Davis. And I recognize the face, but I could not tell you what she is from.
Oh, she's been in quite a bit. I'll look her up. You keep talking.
Thank you. So they're going to be filming a new movie or TV series, I can't really tell, it's a dark comedy drama called Butterfly Stroke, which is an Oscar nominee, so I presume that she's pretty...
She's been in a lot of stuff. I just gotta find
Butterfly Stroke, a poignant and darkly comic new drama from director Dennis. No, I'm not gonna brutalize that. And then I also saw that Luke Newton is going to be in a new movie that I am like super excited about because it is another romance, and I think it said something about they were the first ones to write a sex education book, and I'm like, oh, Luke, are you going to teach us sex education? I don't think Di can handle that. I think Di's going to pull up her seat.
Come on, please. Come on, please. Please. We need more lessons from Luke. Like,
I need to call up Di's husband and be like, okay, she's going to listen to the podcast today. She's going to find out that Luke is teaching sex education. Please film her reaction. It's going to be hilarious.
Oh, yes. I need our first reaction of finding out that we're going to get more lessons.
Let's teach us, Luke.
Teach us. So
I feel like I feel like after this is the perfect segue from teaching Penelope how to be a wife to teaching sex.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
They were like, you did such a good job with that scene. We think you can teach sex education to the masses.
For real. No, it's kind of like that meta moment because Nicola did that audiobook that's about a
Yes.
woman
Yeah.
and in a work romance
Yes.
that everybody thinks they're together but they're not kind of thing.
Hmm.
That very similarly, art imitating life or,
Yes.
pretending.
Yeah.
So this is just like, we saw you can give lessons. So yeah. So anyways, Judy Davis, let's see. Have you seen she was in The Dressmaker?
No.
That
I love playing this game with you, Patty. It's hilarious.
Okay, well, I haven't even seen The Dressmaker, but I've seen parts of it. It's got Kate Winslet in it.
No.
Is the main star. She was in that a show called The Starter Wife.
Nope.
If you've ever seen that, I have seen that and she was fabulous.
I need to get a buzzer.
She was in the Marie Antoinette movie that
Yes.
what's her name was
Yes.
Kirsten Dunst
Yes.
was the star. She was in that. She was in The Breakup.
I think I saw that one too.
That was Jennifer Aniston and
Annoying guy.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, that one.
Hey, I like Vince Vaughn. I love his humor.
Are you kidding me? Like he was in that movie the most
in that movie,
stereotypical, like throw the whole man out kind of a vibe.
Yes, he was. And he very much like I just watched a TikTok from a one of the narcissistic personality disorder, like narcissistic relationship coach people, that they analyzed the scene where she's getting ready for their little dinner party and he doesn't want to help. Like how they're calling out, the weaponized incompetence and, everything like that. I
saw the funniest video that goes along with that the other day, and it was husband's like watching it as a wife does all the garden work. Like she goes out, she mows the lawns, she moves the things that need moving, and he's like, what's going on here? And then she comes inside and she goes, all right, it's the guy Austin Green, I think his name is, and he was from Beverly Hills 90210, I think it
Brian
was.
Austin Green, yeah. Brian Austin Green.
No. Sorry, not him. He looks like him, and I always confuse the two. He's in Grey's Anatomy now, so he's a Shondaland dude as well, and he's dating I think he's dating or married to Joe in it from the little clips that I've seen. But anyway, his wife is like doing all the yard work. And he's like, what's going on? And then she comes inside and she goes, all right, we've got guests arriving in 2 hours. Can you help me do the housework? And he goes, I think I've got some yard work to, oh crap. And she goes, checkmate. Because guys always go do the yard work when you ask for inside help. So she did it beforehand so that he had to help inside.
So like, I already did extra work, so you had to help me.
Now we really do have to make haste into today's episode. Sorry, the tangents started out with really good intentions,
and then they had good news.
And then they started.
This has been a great weekend. Well, and I really do feel like this time,
Bridgerton.
like, do you know how you go to the movies and you just have those people that like scream at the movie screen and stuff like that? Like,
no.
Yeah, like it's a whole cultural thing. Like when it's a horror movie, they're like, "Don't run upstairs."
Let me repeat: the whole world is not America.
Well, it's American not even all of American. It's not all Americans. It's only some of.
Yeah, no, I can't say in Australia or New Zealand that I've ever been to the movies and had anyone scream at the screen, with the exception of children or special needs.
Okay, now granted, I was a teenager.
Oh, but... sorry. And the Taylor Swift movie, but that we were allowed to scream at that because we were singing along with her.
We went and saw the Mighty Ducks, and we jumped up and down and screamed when they won.
Yeah, as I repeat, children.
I was a teenager.
I was a child.
I wasn't quite a child.
My brother had a Mighty Ducks,
and I was in the front row
and hoodie, or not hoodie. What do you call those?
Jersey.
Yeah, is it like the silky material that like?
Yeah, it's like their jersey.
Okay, a jersey here is like a warm, fleecy hoodie kind of a thing.
Well, jersey knit is t-shirt material, but a jersey is a sports uniform. Like you get their jersey.
A sports jersey. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's make in haste.
Who do we want to start out with? I want to start at the start of the family, which starts with Anthony and Daphne, and that kind of takes us. That kind of takes us back. Well, Yeah. Firstborn boy, firstborn girl, definitely parentified girl, and father-ified, parentified boy.
Well,
Quite,
he's parentified
he was
by
literally parentified.
he was parentified by society. Like that's just how it worked. His father died. He took over the title. He now became in charge of the family and responsible for the family. So
And
his isn't, and I wouldn't say it's not traumatic. It is traumatic, but his was expected. It
mm,
was not like Daphne was parentified because we believe like as Violet was in her depression after Edmund's passing
yeah.
and healing from the birth of Hyacinth, like, and she was just isolating herself mostly. Somebody
Hmm.
had to pick up the slack, and we can tell by Daphne just craving and wanting children so badly that that, and at the age she would have been, that would have been her. But we also know from the books and from the way she talked with Eloise in season one, it was instilled in her very deeply and from a very
Well,
young age that
so
her success on the marriage mart was going to line up her sisters for success. So she had a lot of responsibility placed on her at a young age, where I think like with heirs, like with the boys,
mhm.
they're, because their job becomes so responsible when they have to take it over. And I'm guessing here, this isn't based on any research. This is simply based on other books I've read, some of the stuff I've looked up because I'm interested in that time period. But it really seems like I almost feel like Sow Their Wild Oats kind of comes from this era, because
Hmm.
the boys get to have adventures. They get to go off and do stuff. They're like, oh, let them be. They're going to have to grow up soon enough because when I die, they got to take over all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the boys get to be, but the girls, it's like pounded into them,
Well,
especially the firstborn girl. Like, you have to do well. You are setting up the rest of your sisters for success.
not just
All of
that,
this falls on you.
but like biologically speaking, and as an adoptive mother, you will know this really well. I don't know if you ever adopted, or sorry, I don't know if you ever fostered little Lees. But a
I
lot
had
of
a
people don't.
7-year old. I had
No,
her from
no,
7 to 8.
no, little. So a lot of
Like
people don't.
babies and toddlers?
Yeah,
No.
a lot of people don't realize this, but one of the reasons why skin to skin is so important, and it doesn't actually even matter if it's with a mother or a father or a adoptive parent or a caregiver or family, whatever. Skin to skin is so important because it releases oxytocin in our bodies, which make us feel close to and protective of, and it creates all those, chemicals in our brain that say, hey, protect this with your life, take care of this with
Mm-hmm.
your life. This is the most important thing now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why those bonding moments are so important. And I think that Daphne was the one who did a lot of that with the very young
With
babies.
Hyacinth,
And I
yes.
think she got all of those physical, like it is a literal physical reaction that happens in your body when you are that close with babies all the time. And I think that it's literally like a drug. The smell of a baby is like a drug. And you
Well, and
see it.
that's not even from my adoptive life. My first niece was born when I was 11.
Yeah.
And I was not allowed to hold her for the first month of her life because I don't know why. Still don't know why. I mean, I was
Um,
already babysitting other neighborhood kids, but I couldn't hold her for the first month of her life.
I
And
know Mexican culture, well, I mean, I'm not sure if this is just because my sister-in-law is married to a Mexican man, and she does not leave the house each time for at least, I'm pretty sure it was 1 month for each child, and she's got 5 children. She's not allowed to leave the house. People can come, I think, to the door and drop things in, but I don't even think that people are allowed into the
oh,
house except for,
my sister came to our house and brought the baby.
okay.
I honestly just think because of my quirk, because it was and I'm remembering it as just me, and that could just be my perspective. I don't remember if my younger sister held the same vibe, but I do know that they allowed my younger brother, who was 5, to hold her because it was so funny that he was an uncle at 5 years old. So they
Mm,
wanted a picture of it. But I was not allowed to hold her. But once I held her, like the second I hold her, I knew I wanted to be a mother. Like I
mm.
knew it.
And
I
I
want to be
think
a
that's
mom.
what.
I want this. And then my nephew came the year later. Like, and I've always been like the favorite aunt.
Mm,
Like, and if, when Kay listens to this, she'll know, like her son snuggled up on me. She came
mhm.
out to stay over, and help me out with some things in my house. And,
Because he feels safe with you.
he snuggled up on me. And then we hugged for a long time before they left. Like kids just, I don't know.
Well, and I think that's
I'm
with Daphne.
comfortable. Yeah.
I think Daphne went through that at such a young age that it became such a fundamental part of who she wanted to be. And so when Simon, I don't want to say took that away from her, but realistically he did, or was trying to at least, because it was a choice he was
Mm-hmm.
making. It wasn't a biological thing. Like she would accept it if it was a biological thing, because I think it's different when it's not a choice, but when it is,
Yes.
or when it's a choice and you haven't alerted the person to the fact that it's a choice, not a biological fault, yeah, different. But I think that she always knew that feeling that she had with helping raise her siblings was a feeling that she wanted for the rest of her life. And she knew from that age, this is my purpose. You know how the boys are out searching for their purpose and searching for this and searching for
Mm-hmm.
that. And she found it so easily because she knew what she wanted from a really young age. And I think Anthony kind of envied that a little bit as well, because he had his purpose thrust upon him, but Daphne knew what her purpose was all along. And it wasn't necessarily imposed upon her. Like it was by society, but I think that her mum would have accepted no matter what she chose to some degree. But I think that is where a little bit of the headbutting between Daphne and Anthony, especially when it came to Nigel Burbrook and whatnot, kind of came in. And I'm just gonna, you keep
Well,
talking, but I'm gonna go grab my blankie.
well, I think a lot of that too, their kind of antagonism is as the firstborns, I don't think their relationship, I think it was more on equal footing, kind of. Like they were both the firstborns and then they both lost their father and they both took on a kind of parental role that, I mean, you kind of get that peer relationship. Like when you see Anthony imposing his will because of things, because of the way he's processing what his mother has said to him, Daphne looks surprised and shocked. Like she could not believe that he would be doing this to her. So I think they were more on equal footing up until the moment of him telling Burbrook could marry her. You know what I'm saying? Like she was even nicer and gentler about it at the ball when he's walking her around. Like she's like, oh yeah, you've been out here longer than me. You're experienced. I would have never known that. Like she's totally accepting his wisdom and his experience. And then as time goes on, you see that she's just like, what are you doing? Like
Like
this is my life. Like I am a person. Like I was a person a week ago and now I'm not a person anymore. What happened,
Yeah, because at first he went in with full intentions of, I want to protect her. I want to get a good match for her. I want it to be advantageous. I want him to be a good man. I want him to be honorable. And then you choose Nigel? Like,
But he got butt hurt over the stuff his mom was saying to him. Like,
yes.
and he was about to ruin, like, her marriage affects the rest of her sisters. And
I
no offense, I
honestly,
don't see anybody in the ton going, oh, she got Nigel Burbrook. Oh my gosh. That means her sister's real estate value just went up.
no, that's not true. Nigel's Burbrook's mum would be there being like, oh, she got Nigel. What a
Yeah, and
lucky girl.
she's the only one. She's the
You
only one
you
talking
said
about
no
him like
one.
that.
No one's a
Uh,
sweeping statement. That mama would
well,
be.
I think Jeffrey Dahmer's mother loved him too. And I'm not saying Burbrook was as bad as Jeffrey Dahmer,
Oh
but
no, no,
I
no.
mean,
Nigel's giving me more Ed Kemp vibes, who buried all the women's heads in his mum's favorite rose garden so that she would look out her
uh,
window every day and look
or
over them.
what was his name? The Cleveland guy. His last
Um,
name was Castro, I think, but he had the three
um,
girls in the basement.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I should know that story because I'm from the area.
I mean, you know what? Actually, Ohio has a lot of serial killers. I've been
Shush! I knew.
is it
I've mentioned too. And then the last podcast I talked about Amy Mahalovic.
I was like thinking about it the other day, because before I had Ezra, I used to listen to a bunch of serial killer, unsolved murder kind of
Yeah,
podcasts
Ariel
and
Castro. Ariel
Ariel Castro.
Castro had the
Yes.
three girls,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
in the base.
It's just a shame because I like the name. He just not a good person.
Not a good person.
Not a good person. It's always the fear of like choosing a name, and then you're like, I chose my baby's name, and then my best friend Googled the name, and the first thing that comes up is a stillborn baby article, and I'm like, no.
Mm.
So apparently another baby had Ezra's like not full name because obviously it's got my last name as his middle name. And
Well, And we've discussed for a long time, like, I love words. I love how there can be so many different words to describe something but give it a different nuance. But I
Mm-hmm.
also love how words sound and how they feel when you say
Oh my
them,
God,
how your lips and mouth
big
feel.
fan of onomatopoeia.
Yeah, like, I love persnickety is one of my favorite words.
Mm-hmm.
I love to say it, persnickety, persnickety, persnickety. But when I was young,
I,
I
I'm
wanted
I'm
to
big fan of
name I
rambunctious.
yeah,
Rambunctious.
rambunctious is fun. I wanted to name one of my kids Malachi.
I had a wee student when I was volunteering at the Montessori school, and his name was Malachi, and boy, he was a little Japanese boy. I loved him. He was a really spunky
Good.
wee,
I'm
wee
glad,
fella.
because I was all I got was, have you ever seen Children of the Corn?
No, he was the coolest dude. And he was like, I think 4 years old, 5 years old, four.
No,
He was such a
there's
cool
a
wee
character
fella.
named Malachi in Children of the Corn.
Yeah, I
So
haven't
if
seen
you
it
have,
because
yeah,
I don't
I don't
do
watch
horror.
scary movies. Yeah.
I want to feel happy. I don't want my cortisol
Mhm.
levels
I
raised.
was like,
Thank you.
no, no, I did not see Children of the Corn. Thank you.
I mean, to be fair, I have actually,
I just like how your mouth moves
yeah,
when you say it.
Malachi. Well, that's me with Delilah, and but my cousin named his daughter Delilah, but I like how it rolls Delilah, Delilah,
Hmm.
like the way it rolls off your tongue. I really like the
Yeah.
feel of the word, and it just makes me think of sunshine.
Yes.
It's a
And there's some
happy, happy
people,
word.
like, if I struggle with their name, like their first name by itself, I almost always use their middle name, or I give them my own middle name.
Hmm.
Like, my best friend's daughter, her name's Katie, and I've always called her Katie Lou.
That's the one, yeah.
And Lou is not her middle name, but I've always called her Katie Lou.
Well, my little cousin Caitlin, quite often I'll call her Katie Bell. Her middle name is not Bell, but
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
Caitlin
that's funny
Ann.
because Katie's name is Caitlin. She always went by Katie.
Yeah,
So
Katie Bell.
uh,
All right, let's get back to the point.
point.
Point. Okay, so yeah, Daphne and Anthony had, I actually think that they, outside of the Nigel Burbrook situation, I actually think that they had a pretty decent relationship. I think that they actually had the most respect for each other as far as siblings go because
Yeah.
they both knew
And
the pressure that had been put on each other as the oldest boy and girl of the family.
yes, and you can see it, especially in season two. Like, they're back to being on equal footing. You don't think about how much younger she is than he is. And she's giving him advice. Like, she's trying so hard to get him to see what makes him happy
She
and
was
what's right in
so
front of his
chill in
face.
season two. If I had walked in on that scene in season two, having known what he did to me, I'd be like, buckle up, sunshine. We're going for a stroll down an aisle because you're getting married.
Well,
Are
and
you
she
kidding
came pretty close to saying that,
me?
but she knows she had no
Get on
power
your
over.
walking shoes because you're walking down that aisle, boy.
Yeah, because I mean, there basically was that, when it was me moment, like,
Hmm.
almost kind of like throwing in his face, like, very different when you're living it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's
My
it. That was his karmic moment.
my favorite Daphne and Anthony scene. Can you guess it?
Is it
Got
one or two?
one, got milk.
Oh,
Those
yeah. Well,
two
yeah.
privileged kids trying to figure out how to heat up milk.
Now, I love, and I made a pictogram of it, and I don't think I ever posted it, but I love at the beginning of Paul Mall in season two, and I think this is my favorite. I mean, Paul Mall is like everybody's favorite Bridgerton family together scene.
Yeah.
But there's a specific picture while they're sitting there talking about, like, choosing the mallets, how they're going to choose, and
Hmm.
should, like, they end up saying, like, Daphne actually comes up because now
Mm. That's
she
one of my
outranks
favorite book.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she outranks Anthony because she is a duchess.
Mm.
He is only a viscount. So this is the moment she absolutely uses that power, and she takes over, and she's like, we're going to let our guests first, right? I just hit
Yes.
the mic. Sorry. We're going to let our guests choose first. But as they're like going back and forth trying to figure stuff out, there's this pan away shot, and you can just see that Daphne and Anthony were the parents of these other kids. Like, the way they're
Hmm.
standing there, and Anthony's got his hands on his hips, and Daphne's standing there, and the way she's standing, you can tell they're like the mom and the dad
Yeah.
because they're the oldest siblings. I love that moment.
Hmm.
That moment is so good. Like, it's so obvious. But even in that moment, she comes in like, I mean, they're siblings, but like if they were the husband and wife, if they were the mom and the dad, like she rules the
Well,
roost.
and that's
And
why
she was
it's
totally coming at him, bro. Like, I am the
crazy
Duchess.
that they have Daphne missing because realistically speaking, Daphne and Anthony are the matriarch and patriarch of the family once Violet is gone. That is the way that
Mhm.
it would fall. And obviously, like even for myself, in my cousins, I'm the oldest girl cousin out of 10 of us, mixed genders, obviously. But there's only two girls to eight boys. But I will be the one hosting the Christmases and, the family events and that kind of thing, just because like it's just in my bones. Like when you are raised as
Yeah.
an eldest daughter or, I don't know why. It's in my bones to be a host, to take care of others, like to be a mum to all.
Well, and in my family, that's not how it's working. Like, I mean, we're not as tight knit. Like, we don't necessarily, we've not ever, I can't ever think of a holiday we've had with cuz involved. But like, my sister is the youngest girl and she hosts now. But at the time, like when my mom stopped
That's because she's got her
hosting,
two kids closest and then they've got kids. So she's doing it for the kids and grandkids.
well, and she took it over. She pretty much took it over after my mom quit hosting. My mom was an apartment manager and she was having, we were doing the Christmas dinners like in the party room of the apartment complexes or whatever, wherever she lived. And then when she moved in with my sister and we kind of would have Christmas at my sister's because that's where my mom was because she moved in with my sister. But once my mom moved out and she moved in with my brother for a little bit. Then she lived with me, my older brother, one of my older brothers. And she lived with me. Then she lived in her own place. Like my sister, just from the time, I think she like loved it. Right. And she had her own kids then. And it helped because her family was a blended family. She married a man who already had three kids. So
Yeah,
it kind of helped their family solidify. So she just kept doing it.
yeah. That
It
makes
like it
sense.
didn't get bequeathed to her. She just kind of took it over as my son. She is that kind.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, I think, covered Daphne and Anthony portion pretty substantially now.
Yep.
Should we move on to who do we want to talk about now? Actually, I don't think that we talked about this in the sisters episode, and technically it's mixed, so I'm just gonna go for it here. I did want to talk a little bit more about the Eloise and Daphne kind of relationship and how much kind of they battered against each other in season one, especially because Eloise, I think we have talked about it vaguely in other episodes, but we didn't really dig in and
Mm-hmm.
analyze just how combative they are to each other because they literally are each other's like worst idea of their ideal life. Like Daphne cannot fathom wanting to be alone, to not have children, to just be a bookworm, for that to be her whole existence. Whereas on the flip side, Eloise cannot fathom being a mum, being a wife, being seen as just something pretty. And I mean, Daphne does fall a little bit into that like stay-at-home mum kind of like perfect housewife. Who's that content creator that everyone now likes to mock and create like, and today I'm going to make my from rat because they asked for them, but we don't food now. There's she's beautiful. She's absolutely stunning, but she is 1000% on the cuckoo clock. Like,
I have no idea who you're talking about. I don't watch that.
um,
Most of the time, so many scandals come out of those types of
yes,
parental children
yes.
relationships that I cannot watch them anymore because reality, whether it be YouTube,
Oh, I
which
don't
is,
watch it, but there's so many skits of people mocking
oh
her
yeah.
content now. She's got
Yeah.
like millions of followers.
I actually just read, did I read it? I think I did. I think I read it. It was might have been on Reddit or somebody had said they had seen it somewhere. So I can't say I got it from Shondaland or anything. But I think when they were considering Daphne and they thought about her backstory because when we come into Bridgerton, it's her season as is with the
Yes.
books. Her book is the first book.
Yeah.
So it is her season and they like to write strong women, so they kind of said like Daphne also is smart. Daphne also wanted to be educated and all of that,
I mean,
but
we heard her play
because
the
of her
piano
role,
to annoy Simon. She is beyond proficient. She is amazing on a piano. You
Yeah,
know the scene
like,
where she's playing the piano and Simon's smashing the
mhm.
shooting the birds.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely became accomplished. She perfected herself to gain the best chances because she was responsible for her younger siblings. And I think that that shows her intelligence. Like, she's not just book smart. Like, Eloise is
No.
very book smart,
Yeah.
but Daphne is very, we'll say, street smart. Like, it's
Yes.
not like the streets now, but
She's
the
quite savvy.
societal streets. Yes, she wrote the book on how to navigate society and get your man, right?
Yeah. Like,
Like,
yes, she is naive when where men are concerned, but that was only for a lack of information given to her. And even back then, it's not like you could go to the library and say, hey, can I please check out a book and source that information for yourself unless anyone is willing to give you that information. In which, like, I'm pretty sure that if Violet were that sort of person, she could have had the maids' heads for telling Daphne sex and like sex
oh, Daphne
educational
found out
content.
from a maid after she
No,
got
I know,
married.
but what I'm
So,
saying is if she like Eloise, how does one become with child?
mhm.
If she had gone to a maid and asked that question and say that maid was Araminta who wanted her daughter to stay pure, I would not put it above Araminta to throw that maid in prison for sullying her daughter's mind with
Oh, I'm sure.
heathenous content. I don't know if Casanova, you know how the dad's like, no one's allowed near my daughter, no one's allowed to fill her mind with any sinful information. My daughter's a complete purist, and his daughter was an absolute heathen.
Yeah, there's a similar character in Outlander.
Oh, okay. I still, you know what? I actually have. I need to. And do you recommend reading first or watching?
Okay, so I'll just tell you my journey because it was introduced to me first as the television show.
Hmm.
Part of the appeal to me was if you like the show, it's also book,
Yes.
right? Because I talked all the time about how I didn't get to read and I wanted to read. I wanted to find something and get into it and read more. So
Hmm.
my ex-husband was like, well, watch this show with me. If you like it, you can like we'll get the books and you can read the books and whatever. And I fell in love with it. Like it's very difficult. It can be very difficult to watch. Diana Gabaldon really does write true to the time of what it is like to be a woman back then, and writing it from the perspective of someone like, even though the 1940s was, I mean, any time in history is not that safe for a woman, really. I mean, we're still having conversations about who'd you rather meet in the woods, a man or a bear? So it's never really that safe, but she really does write true stuff. And she writes about things that weren't written about, but probably did happen. So it can be very difficult to watch, but it was such an intriguing story that I did want to read the book. So I started getting the books on Kindle. And yeah, fell in love with it. Like I devoured the book.
At this
And
rate,
then
I
it's
think that this episode is going to have to be a two-parter because there's just too many sibling dynamics and the tangents are too
yeah.
tangent today.
Yeah, so I think that and it actually my reading the books caused my ex-husband and I to no longer be able to watch the show together because I knew things that were coming that potentially were coming because you never know what they'll do with the source material, right?
Hmm.
I'm looking at you, Michaela. So I'm like, ooh, I think this will be the scene where something happens, and that drove him insane.
Oh, Stephen goes the same because I was like, he's like, watching things with you is so hard because you have such strong intuition that he'll try to. So he's gotten me to obviously listen to the June audiobook while we've been doing our house renovation. And I know nothing of June outside of watching June Prophecy, which is actually set like tens of thousands of years in the past or something, or in the future. I don't know. So it's not really
Prior to
connected.
the
Same
movie or
world,
prior to the book thing. Yeah.
yeah, same world, complete different. So I know nothing of it. And he's like, so like, can you guess what's going to happen? And I'm like, so is this and this and this? And he's like, how? And I'm like, intuition, my dear Watson.
Yeah. Well, and that's like so many shows. Outlander got ruined because I read.
Yeah.
I read the books ahead. I could not put them down. I could not stop. So I was ahead of the show. And that made him mad. And then other shows we tried to watch, like he and I watching Castle, I
Mhm.
almost always knew who the murderer was.
Yes.
And that drove him batty.
All right. Yeah, so going back to, I don't even know how we got there from Daphne and so Daphne and Eloise, I think they butt heads so much because they are each other's like worst idea of how to end up. Not that obviously Eloise hasn't ended up anywhere as of yet, but I
Well,
do hope so badly that they do not give Eloise the book treatment of how she ended up. Yes, she was happy, but like it really went against everything of who she was as a
yes,
character, as a person up until that point. One moment, I have a delivery. I'll be back.
we're back on record, right?
We are back.
So, the reason we went down that one tangent about Daphne is my saying that she's just as smart as Eloise. I
She
think that,
is.
yes, Eloise is antagonistic because she thinks that she knows Daphne is smart and she thinks Daphne is choosing what society expects. And she's kind of lost respect for Daphne because of that
Yes.
in
Yeah.
that year. Like, why are you being so vapid? Like, she's so worried that she was so worried that when it became her year, she'd become the same.
I think
And
she doesn't
I
like that
think,
Daphne is trying to meet everyone's expectations, whereas
yeah.
Eloise is like, I'm no one but myself, and why would I ever try to be anyone but myself? Whereas it is
Mm-hmm.
Daphne. She is just trying to be the best version of herself, but to Eloise, that it's an affront to everything that she is. She's like, she believes in authenticity, which is why she gets along with Benedict so well, because he is only ever his authentic self.
Well, Benedict's a different Benedict for everybody, but I think that Daphne is not so much antagonistic to Eloise because Eloise is her opposite. I think she's jealous because Eloise gets to be herself, fully
Yes.
herself,
Yeah.
and do what she wants because Daphne has this added pressure. It's almost like how Antony is always like so martyred over being the Lord. Like he has so much duty and so much duty and so much duty. I think Daphne is kind of the same. Her and Eloise's relationship is very similar to when he talks to the Bridgerton bros about how they get to be who they want to be because he came first.
Hmm.
It's
And I
very
mean,
similar.
you can see Daphne on multiple occasions with Eloise in the first season, trying desperately to like find some way to connect with her sister. And it's just like chalk and cheese. And Eloise does what Eloise does best. And she is just completely oblivious to anyone else's struggles in the world and thinks that everyone else just has it so easy because they're just out there being their fake selves. And all they have to do is find someone cute and rich to marry, and then all their problems are solved.
Mm.
Whereas it's not quite as simple as that. And I think Eloise does underestimate the struggles that Daphne went through in season one, the fertility struggles, the nearly being married off to Nigel Burbrook. Like that should
Ooh.
actually be Eloise's worst nightmare, is being married, forced to marry a man whom isn't going to respect her, isn't going to respect her intelligence, isn't going to give her any autonomy, who just wants her as, because I mean, realistically, that was also Daphne's fear, was just being someone's prize. She did not want to be Burbrook's prize. Like if he was as fine as Anthony was saying he was on paper, like he's not super wealthy, but he's not wealthy. He's just not the most attractive. But if looks don't matter, as you
But
say,
all of his
Daphne,
crap, all of the crap Anthony even brings up is nothing that even makes a good husband. Like who
no.
cares if he can shoot?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, like that was also Daphne's idea of hell, is being married to someone who just wanted her as a prize and not as a person. Whereas I think
Mm-hmm.
she loved Simon because he saw her as a person. She was the only person who got him to open up and be himself and learn to laugh and learn to enjoy life and be free with. And I think you feel that when someone else is being their authentic self with you, and it makes you feel closer to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you and I both notice when we are around people who are really guarded in life. It's not that we don't get along with them. It just takes a little bit longer to build that deeper connection, because I don't think that you can truly be close with someone if you are holding up so many walls.
Yeah, I think that, but I think I was just thinking about this when you were talking about everything Daphne was going through in season one, but it really struck me how we have such great female friendships that are written into the show, but we don't have any really good sisterships.
No,
The
and we do.
Featherington sisters are antagonistic. All the Bridgerton sisters are antagonistic to each other.
That
The Bridgerton bros are
our mentors
so
girls
close.
are,
Yeah, the Bridgerton bros are so close with each other, yet the
well,
Bridgerton sisters are almost in competition with each other.
we now have Bridgerton sisters who are best friends. How cute.
We do, but I think that changes the
Married in.
dynamic
It
because,
does.
well, I mean, not, I mean, Penelope was a pseudo sister all along.
I think that we're still
Um,
going to see a little bit of healing in season 4 between Eloise and Penelope, and I think it's going to be Eloise
oh, I
learning to
agree.
accept that Penelope actually has an opinion, is her own person, especially now that she knows she's Whistledown. I know Eloise, and I think Eloise is going to go back, and I think she already did. I just haven't watched season 5, episodes 5 through 8 enough, to be honest. And
No, she
obviously,
pulled out an old whistle down when she was getting ready to go to that one ball, and she read it. It's the one about and this author will show her teeth,
yes, but
right?
what I'm saying is,
And she's like clever, like she's acknowledging that it's clever writing.
yeah, so what I'm saying is I think that Eloise, after the fact, or even when she's away in Scotland, I think she's going to go through and she's going to go back and reread every single article because Eloise likes information and she likes knowing everything. And she was reading the articles through the eyes of not knowing who Whistledown was, whereas now she's going to go back through and reread it all as this is my best friend Penelope. I was with her when she saw this. I was with her when she saw this, and she's going to have a little bit more insight and maybe a little bit more respect for her friend and what she's created. Because even at one point, even she was like, it's just gossip, it's not worth ruining
Mm-hmm.
my brother over. And even she belittled it. And I think she's going to go away and I think she's going to read them and actually realize how much of Penelope she had overlooked.
Yeah.
Penelope's desires, not who Penelope was, but a different side of Penelope. Because, like, who I am with my husband and who I am with my parents and who I am with my friends, they aren't different people. I act slightly differently, but they are all just different sides of me. And no one person knows every single side of someone because we are different with everyone. So I think they're going to have a sense of closeness in Eloise getting to know a side of Penelope that she's always been afraid to show Eloise. And I think that's actually going to make them grow closer. And I think it's going to broaden Eloise's horizon of how she sees and views her friend and also how she sees and views maybe some of the world because of it. But I actually do really want to, after we finish, I think we're going to make this into a two-parter. And when we say two-parter, it's probably going to be a 10 because this is us. I do also want to do a full deep dive of, I think after this, because I want to save a Penelope analysis for when I actually have time to sit through and watch seasons 1 through 3 fully again. And at the moment, I
Correct.
have zero time, less than zero time. Like we are down struggle
Yeah.
street with energy, with everything.
There's a lot of life going on right now.
There is a lot of life going on. I think my house goes on the market today, actually. I don't know. I think it was today. So it will start coming down soon. But for now, this is why we're doing our analysis episodes where we just get to spitball all the thoughts we've had of sibling dynamics and all the things we can't fit into the episode, like an episode analysis. But now we get to kind of dig into those finer details. So like I even want to, dig into how Violet acts with each of her siblings, with each of her daughters, each of her children, at some point. Same with Portia, the different dynamics that she has with each of her children. There's so many relationship dynamic episodes that I want to talk about, and they don't require me really doing all so much research because they're more feelings rather than like analytics per se. Whereas when it comes to Penelope, I want to make sure we do a really, really good job with that one. So I want to do notes for that one. And the tangents are a little bit less tangenty when there's notes.
A little bit, yeah.
Bit, just a pinch. So yeah, we will do a full Penelope Eloise analysis at some point, but I just wanted to kind of bring up how Daphne and Eloise kind of play into each other and how Penelope kind of feeds into that dynamic a little bit as well. Because I think that Penelope was the sister that Eloise always wanted. Because it was kind of the best of both worlds of Francesca and Daphne put together. She gets the Francesca who just sits and listens, and then she's got the Daphne who's got the intelligence. She had both, the best of both worlds in Penelope of that. Penelope was never going to butt heads against Eloise too much unless she was really at her wit's end. But I think...
Well, yeah, she had to be pushed into it because Eloise was truly her safe space because of what she was living through. So she was afraid to rock the boat with Eloise up until this season where she gained some confidence and started realizing, and honestly season 2 as well, because she's starting to realize I am a talented writer. I'm really good at writing. People like my writing. Like nobody knew it was her. People loved her writing and she understood that. So
I don't
that gave
understand
her the
why
confidence.
Eloise isn't a writer in this. Like in her books, she was always writing, whether it was letters to people or writing notes in her journal
Yeah.
or writing.
Well, I think they were afraid of, even though it's like that in the books, I think they were afraid of having too many writers because she does mention in a swing set moment with
Yes,
Benedict
yes,
that,
scribbles in her book.
scribbles in her journal are
Yeah,
scribbles in her journal.
yeah.
But when she practices writing, that's different. And, kind of letting him know, like, sketching in your sketchbook is one thing, but actually practicing your art is something different.
Mhm.
So I think that there was a concern of like, well, if Penelope's a writer and then Colin's a writer, why would Eloise also be a writer? So I think that they've transitioned her. Like we've already seen the stepping stone of somebody saying you should be a public speaker. And she went to hear public speakers in season 2 about feminist rights.
Mhm.
So I think they're going to lean towards that because that's kind of writing because you're writing speeches, whether it be in your head off the cuff or you take notes.
I think Michaela is going to be a huge, call it not like a huge domino effect for Eloise of that outspoken
Mm-hmm.
go after what you want. She's going to come back from Scotland completely revitalized in being the outspoken Eloise. Whether for good or bad, I don't know yet. I think it's not necessary. I think there'll be some growth, but obviously they will want to save her main growth for her own season. We see it happen all the
Well,
time,
and I
but
think because we have the queen having accepted Penelope as Whistledown and letting her continue to write with, which is a job, I think that changes the landscape for Eloise because Eloise was concerned about becoming a mother, becoming a wife, and losing the opportunity to develop herself and her identity in the world. Like, because every Bridgerton has a purpose, they want their purpose, right?
mhm.
And they're just identifying and trying to find what their purpose is. And Eloise isn't quite sure. She just knows she's afraid she can't have it because she's not a man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a putting up any minute now. I think about 5 minutes away to come and collect this. So we'll pause and then come back to you because I was hoping to be
Yeah,
done
so
with this
I'll just
episode.
say here since did you pause it already?
No, I'll just cut this bit
Okay,
out.
I was just going to say I'll say here that since we're talking about Eloise and her purpose and we already talked about one swing set
Mhm.
discussion, like I vote the rest of this particular episode, if we're splitting it in half again, kind of, that we talk about the rebel.
I kind of wanted because we've only got a few minutes seconds here, this one's only quite a short one. I wanted to talk a little bit about the dynamic between Gregory, Hyacinth, and Anthony, because seeing as we
Okay.
were already kind of talking about that fatherly role,
Anthony, yeah.
um,
Yeah.
especially because in season 1 and 2 we got to see one of the moments that actually like definitely brought a prickle to my eye was when Anthony kind of realizes the missteps that he's taken as a father, because realistically he is the only father that Gregory and Hyacinth have ever known. They know the memory of their dad, but Anthony
When
has always
he
been their
starts
dad.
talking to Gregory and
Oh.
telling the stories about their dad to Gregory, I'm just like, like Gregory gets to know his dad now. Can you imagine being that young and having no memory and everybody being so traumatized by this
Because
person's
how old
death
was Gregory
that they
when his
don't
dad
talk
died?
about him?
2?
They're pretty much stair steps and Hyacinth was just born. So I'm going to say he's what, like
1,
18
2?
months tops. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was like that's a I don't think that he would even have any recollection of his dad
None.
whatsoever. So like to him, Anthony is his dad, but they're in that really weird predicament where he isn't his dad, but that's the only dad that he has ever known.
And nobody will talk about his dad. Nobody
No,
barely
because it
talks about
hurts.
Edmund.
Because it
Yeah.
hurts, and that's even, and I understand that, like, even now, like, I find it really, really hard to talk about Charlie or Bapu, like, without it still feeling sad. And I know that with time it does get easier and you do like start to remember those happier times, but there is definitely a grace period where it just hurts the heart to think about. And
Oh, of
I think that
course.
Violet loved Edmund so much that I don't think that she's ever, I think it's only now that she's starting to look back on with fondness instead of just pain in her heart. Like it takes a long
Mm-hmm.
time to be able to sift through the pain to get to the good.
Well, and there's this shroud that grief does when you lose somebody important to you and that close to you, that it kind of colors, like you're no longer, if you're in love, like you no longer have the rose colored glasses. There's a tinge of gray, like everything is gray.
Hmm.
And I think that Violet is finally starting to see the color again,
Yeah.
right? watching her children fall in love, reminding her of the moments when her and Edmund fell in love, healed her a little bit. So it
Mhm.
brought color back to her memory, I think.
Well, I mean, and that's why they were supposed to have the Regency. This is why one of the things I don't like about how they've played out the colors in Bridgerton, and I do wish they'd stuck to the Regency etiquette of it, was the color that a person wears is directly correlated to their mourning period. The first year, you're supposed to wear black. The second year, you're in half mourning. And so you're supposed to wear grays. And then as you get further out, it's going into violets. I think, no, lavenders or violets. I can't remember. Muted.
Violet is first, the darker
Yeah.
colors
So
are first, and then it
violets
gets lighter.
and then into your lavenders, which is like I'm coming out of mourning and you can begin courting. I can't remember exactly because it was a long time ago that I read Francesca's book, but I believe it was when she was wearing lavender that she began going back on the marriage mart. She turns up to 5 Bruton Street in lavender, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Anthony, I think he's in a really funny predicament of he is their father, but he was a kid. And I know that back then they did mature at a much, much faster rate than what today's children do. And we do allow our children to actually be children for a long time now, as opposed to back then. But in the same breath, think about how you thought and felt and acted at 18 years of age. He was a child.
Yeah.
He still had no amygdala developed.
Well, right. And if anybody wants to correlate it to anything modern day, I mean, if you remember the show Party of Five, like their parents died and I'm not going to think of his name now, the actor, but the oldest brother, who was not old by any means, he was probably like 18, 19. I mean, this was a 90s show, so it's how we came to know Jennifer Love Hewitt, who was on Party of Five.
Okay.
And Scott Wolf, I think too, was on Party of Five. But basically he becomes the head of the family and it has to help raise all of his siblings after the parents pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a young dude, and it's like he's navigating it as a young man, and his siblings are either like they're close in age to him and there's some younger ones, so it's a very similar dynamic. And that's why you see Antony's dynamic with Benedict is more peer to peer.
The most relatable for my age group is Lilo and Stitch.
Wow.
Soz.
There's streaming services. Party of Five is out there. Go find Party of Five.
I think it was really, really, really big in America. I watched I watched these React videos quite a bit. And it's like they do like teenagers versus or like Gen
yes,
Alpha or
I love kids.
Gen Z
I love kids react.
Yeah. And
I love kids react.
I love when they do the generational ones where like the first, the first generation to guess the TV series, the songs, the food, the anime.
I love the ones where it's like the music, but it's like the kids and their parent, like one of their parents.
Yeah, so like the Gen Alpha versus Millennial or Gen Zs.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's usually the age bracket. But I don't remember point.
But yeah, it's the different perspective. It's seeing how just based on their age, how they're going to react to a situation.
Yeah.
And like, Anthony basically he got hitched to a cart and had to carry his family name, carry his family, carry all of his sister's success on the marriage mart.
Like he always knew
the estate.
Yes, he always knew that he was going to have to be the Lord at some point, but to do it at such a young age, and then he gets thrust into it, and within weeks, oh my God, this title means I have to choose whether my mum or a baby dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just lost my dad. If my mum dies, I'm really, really responsible for these 7 children.
And honestly, you see how big of a deal it is for him and how traumatic it is for him if you read the Rokesby books, because if you read Billy's book and she's talking to, who was the dude for Billy?
George. Yeah, George.
Because it's another she's talking to him, and she's talking to him, and he's kind of he thinks very highly of her, but he's kind of put off by the fact that she runs everything. And they have this conversation about Edmund, and she goes, Edmund will take over when it's his time. Like, he's still getting his education. Like, let him do his thing. I don't mind running it. I'm doing a good job running it, and I enjoy it. right? Like, those are my reasons. I'm not doing it because I have to. My
And you know what?
father is still alive. And so we know,
Edmund's very much the kind that would have been like, I see you, Billy. I see what you did for me and for this estate. And hey, Billy, I'm having trouble with this agricultural thing. Can you lend
mhm.
your wealth of knowledge? I think he would have 100%.
And that's why I don't think Edmund is the one that told the girls they could not learn fencing.
No. And that's why, because I think Violet still has touches of her mum in her. Like obviously as you would, but I think that's
I think Eloise was told girls should not learn fencing because
like
they were already concerned about her at that age.
yes. Like can you imagine Lord Ledger realizing that his daughter is in love with Edmund next door, knowing who Edmund and Billy are and knowing the dynamic between them. And he's like, this is going to be a good man for my daughter. He's already a good
Mhm.
sibling. He's already a good, like, he knows what's best for his land. He trusts his sister to help him. Like, he is not chauvinistic. He is going to be a good man for my girl. Like I can
Mhm.
just imagine how happy he was realizing
Yeah.
that that was got like his carefully laid plans was coming to fruition after all these years of watching them fight and bicker and be annoying siblings to each other and not siblings, sorry, neighbors to each other, and then realizing that they're in love the whole time, which he knew. I
Yeah.
love the thought of that. I hope that we get the Rokesby series, and I hope we get to see, because I know that Julie Quinn has said she doesn't want to do Edmund and Violet, but if she did Rokesby, we could still get those moments of Edmund and Violet like we had from the books without
Right.
necessarily tainting the memory of Edmund. Because she said, I'm afraid to write Edmund and Violet's story because there's no way to write it and keep the story interesting enough for readers to want to read it without putting in some sort of drama into it, but not enough drama that's going to ruin Edmund for people, you know?
Yeah.
But if they did Rokesby, like they did Queen Charlotte, we could get those moments of Edmund and Violet.
Well, if they wrote their story like, Shonda Rhimes loves a love triangle. If they wrote the story like, here's my imagination, Shonda. I'm talking to you. So if they wrote the story like the Bridgerton prequel, maybe
Yeah.
not the Bridgerton kids, maybe not the Rokesbys, but if they did the season, because you kind of get the idea that Portia, Araminta, and Violet were out on the mart at the same time, right? They're
Mhm.
roughly the same age. So if we get that season or we see flashbacks of that season, we see all the girls wanting Edmund.
Yes.
We see Violet liking him, but not really sure. And if he's the right one for her, and she wants to try out the marriage mart because there's even different versions in the books. Like
Yes.
they knew they loved each other before she was out on the mart, or we don't know how long she was out on the marriage mart before he proposed, but they were very young and they had Antony when she was 19. So let's have a season where there are other men vying for her and she just doesn't know what to do. And she's in a dilemma. But the Aramintas and the Portias are going after Edmund and they're flipping it. So it's not that there's two men vying for one girl, there's multiple women vying for one man. And that makes Violet realize, no, I don't want Portia, whatever her name would have been, with Edmund. She is not right for you. You know what I mean?
Portia Fairfax.
Yeah, whatever it is. So,
Oh no, I'm
like,
I'm crossing genres here into Emma.
oh yeah, Lady Fairfax.
I think it was Fairfax, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Fairfax. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember her first name, but yeah, Fairfax. I believe
Yeah.
it was Fairfax. But yeah, like, so it could go in a different way where there's not other, there's not, because you have the Bridgerton sons just when they see somebody else with their girl, right? They're just that look of, oh no, you didn't. Like Antony's got that look. Colin yearns all across that ball.
The sniffing nostrils when he realizes he set his friend up. Like,
I think it would be priceless to have young Violet be that person. Like she's testing the water, she's doing her thing. Her mother is pushing her hard on the mart, right? And she's
keep in mind,
her
Edmund was an absolute cat. like
Well, yeah, and
absolute cat.
her mother is pushing her down the great white way, as that whole time period would be,
Hmm.
and as her mother was. And maybe she's pushing a little like against that wish. I'm sure there's a little Eloise came from somewhere, right? Little
Yes.
rebelliousness. So maybe she's purposely
Strong-willed.
dancing with young men who are newer to the tons, shall we
Hmm.
say, back in
Hmm.
that time. And
Well, I
it's
don't think she was
giving her
dancing at
mother
all.
fits.
I think she was very much
Well, no, but
Penelope.
I mean, like her. I think her mother would be setting her up to dance
Yes.
with
Yeah.
people, and she would, as a wallflower. One, I don't think she'd be able to say no very easily.
Hmm.
Like she's no Elizabeth Bennet. She's not a quick worded back then.
No.
So I think that she would be a purposeful wallflower at a point, because it would look like she's very antagonistic to her mother, because she kind of was in Queen Charlotte, like
Yeah.
when she told her mother how the the persons of color were equal to them because of their education and
Hmm.
that they were gentlemen and stuff like that. So I think that her mother would be trying to making her dance with these certain gentlemen. She's doing it because she has to. She is not enjoying it. And then maybe her father is talking to young men. He's like
Hmm.
looking up, see that girl over there? Please go ask. And it's different than what her mother would want for her. And she doesn't know how to say no, but she's like very shy. And Edmund's having to watch this. But Edmund's also got his gaggle of women, and I just want it to get to a point where like she doesn't want any of it. She just wants Edmund. She's figured that out. And Edmund's got all the girls vying for him. And it appears like he's not watching her, but he is. But she doesn't think so. And here, like she's in an open competition,
Well, I mean,
but she thinks she's not winning because she's the
it's
wallflower.
kind of
And I think it needs to look like Araminta's winning, because that fits into Araminta's antagonism
I think it's actually going
towards
to,
her.
I think that's going to kind of be what this season 4 is going to be, though, because they've already said there's going to be a love triangle between Rosamund, Sophie, and Benedict. And I don't think it's going to be a love triangle. I think I think he's going to be put under a lot of pressure from both Anthony and Violet this season that, come on, it's time to settle down. He tried his hand at it with,
I think they're gonna pull you need to get over your lady.
n-
You need to put yourself out
no,
there.
no, no. Well,
Maybe.
I mean, before that, like, because obviously
Well, I know.
they're going to meet at the masquerade ball.
I don't think it's gonna be a love triangle per se in
Well,
terms of he wants Rosamond.
we had been discussing Edmund and Violet, but now that my sale has all gone through, who do we?
I don't remember. I was saying something.
I'm sorry. Today's a little bit of a because I'm still working from home at the moment, but work is kind of not set hours, so I can just podcast between. It's kind of I take phone calls when I need to, do quick meetings with people as I need to throughout the day, and hope it doesn't happen while I'm podcasting. But obviously, there's always going to be little brief intermittences. But as is with the way with life, we just roll with the chaos. Keep rolling, 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 rolling.
Yeah.
But I'm interrupting Patty's genius, and that's never fun.
Genius. I was in the middle of a point or something, like I don't remember what it is.
We'll remember what it is when we release it. But we will do an Edmund.
Oh yeah.
But I do want. I think we could even do after this an Edmund and Violet breakdown of what we know of their relationship so far, which would be a really cute episode because I love their
Well,
relationship.
I'm just saying, like, I think it would be
Oh,
because with Edmund being the younger, with Edmund being the younger of sisters, I think that he would not know how to thwart off Araminta and Portia if they were after him, because those are both two tenacious ladies. And Violet would probably be more of the Francesca of it all, kind of like sitting on the sidelines. And I just think that would be watching Violet. I want to see Violet have that look like. No.
I think that Violet has a little streak of petty vindictiveness in her, as we see with Nigel's mum, that whole plot that she constructs, because when it comes to those that she loves, and if we're going by the Edmund was her neighbor scenario, she loved him even in a friendship level before they were together. I mean, it was a love-hate thing, but it was still love. She would still be protective of him, and she could,
But I think she would confuse her being angry, like, distaste for Araminta, and Araminta's like throwing herself at him, that she would be like, I need to protect you kind of thing. Like You don't know what she's like. And it would be so great because we know from the books they played pranks on each other. Like,
Yes,
what if we still
the
get the
pie.
pranks, but what if her pranks are on the women? Because
Yes.
Araminta teaches her daughter, you have zero friends. Like,
Yeah.
women are not friends when they're vying for husbands.
Yeah.
And what if that the message she got, how she got that messaging and how she got that vibe was because of, a competition that wasn't really a competition, but Violet was, petty AF and was playing pranks. Like,
that Violet's actually
I
been in
think
my list of girl baby names like forever because of I mean not because of
like,
Willy Wonka, but
you go back and you think of all the pranks you can think of girls play on girls. I mean, girls are petty and their pranks
Petty
are
Patty.
no, I'm not much of a competition person, so
Well,
I'm
I
not
mean,
much of a
isn't it funny?
pranker.
Because this list was created many, many yonder ago, as in
Like,
like probably.
I was just talking to Kay today about a period of my life where I'm sure it felt like I was competing, but I really don't think I was. Like, I wasn't
Yeah, I
competing, but
remember. Yeah.
someone else was competing very hard, and
Um,
I was just there.
you can tell my love of Regency is coming into play here because of my potential baby girl names that I created like 10 years ago. I've got Violet and Darcy together, but I like
As a
Darcy as a I
Darcy
like
as a
as a
girl's
girl.
name.
I like Darcy as a girl's name.
Yes, I could totally name a girl Darcy, and it would absolutely be after Mr. Darcy.
Yes.
Some names I liked when I was young, like when in fifth grade when we had to do the egg baby. My egg
Yes. Yeah.
baby's
Yeah. Yeah.
name
Yeah.
was Anastasia.
It's number 2 on my list. Annabelle and Anastasia, because Anastasia was my
Yeah.
favorite princess. And for my hens do, I did princess theme and I went as Anastasia.
And I loved, there was this girl, it was probably like my first friend, like outside of school ever. And I went to camp and I met her, and her name was Kirsten.
I
And
remember the story.
so I wanted to name a girl Kirsten, and then I always loved the name Savannah from the movie Savannah
Mm-hmm.
Smiles. So it was going to be Kirsten Savannah, going to be the girl's name.
You got the southern draw, Savannah.
Yeah, but it wasn't going to be spelled with an H at the end like
Oh
the
no, it has
southern
to be. Has
town.
to
It was
be.
going to
Has to
be
be H.
just an A, no
Has
H for
to be
me.
spelled. All right.
My
Let's
Savannah was not
gallop
spelled like that.
back to the point. So should we just do like older sibling dynamics today, and then maybe the younger dynamics of like the Collins and Benedict and
Yeah.
that
Oh,
and another.
we were talking about Antony with the younger siblings,
Yeah.
weren't we?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Younger siblings.
and
Yes.
honestly, Antony's relationship with Hyacinth and Gregory is very different from Daphne's relationship with Hyacinth and Gregory. Because I feel like in the scenes where
She mothers them more.
Daphne
I think she
Daphne
actively
is played
mothers.
up, like when Simon comes over and he makes the little paper horse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the kids are kind of younger. They play
Kids.
younger
Like kids.
in those moments. But when Antony is involved and he is a father figure, but the kids are, when it's a scene that's his development, the kids are a little older. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they actually treat Colin more, like they act more childlike with Colin, because I think Colin and Daphne parented them together when Antony was at school.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the dynamic with Colin is very similar to the dynamic they have with Daphne, but with Antony it's more like the distant dad.
It's kind of, yeah, I was about to say it's we can't act silly and annoying and childlike in front of Antony because that's the dad we'll annoy, and
He's the disciplinarian of the household,
yes,
kind of thing.
whereas Colin was the paternal,
the doting dad.
the doting dad. He was the gentler side of Edmund, whereas I think because Antony was thrust into this role, he's kind of got that dynamic of I have to be disciplinarian, I have to be strong, I have to be a good dad, and that means being tough on them because they need to grow up, because I had to grow up, so they have to grow up. He lost his childhood so suddenly that he kind of forgets that they deserve to have one as well. And I think that relationship, that conversation with Gregory in the study where he realizes, no, you're not a failure. No, you're not stupid. Your teacher doesn't have a problem with you. Your teacher is just terrified of me, and that's my fault, not your fault. So he's kind of realizing the position.
What were the three when he's talking to Gregory about Edmund? We know he talked about pranking. Edmund was a prankster, and he talked about him like, we know he was a loving dad, but he was also firm. Like Antony said, he was serious with me, but he could also be this, and he was a prankster. So your triangle, we're back to isosceles, your
Mhm.
triangle
The
of the
three
Bridgerton
kids,
bros are all three a
siblings.
piece of Edmund. You
Mm.
have Antony, who's the disciplinarian. He's the firm Edmund, like he's the firm father figure. Benedict is the prankster. He's the cheeky, mischievous one with the younger kids. Think about how he is at the drawing room table
Mhm.
talking to Gregory about
Mhm.
was it worth seeing the balloon, right?
Mhm.
And then Colin is the loving, doting
Well,
father. So like
and
all three of them
but
are
no,
they all fathered those.
Gregory is the prankster. He's always pulling pranks
Gregory
on
on
Hyacinth.
Hyacinth, that's typical little brother. I'm
No,
talking the versions of Edmund towards the younger
I
kids.
mean, look at the
Benedict's,
scheming. Look at the scheming that goes on in Gregory's book. Climbing up trees to get to
oh,
girls.
for sure. For
Stealing a
sure.
girl from
And
her wedding.
Anthony says that you're much like him in that respect. In
Yeah.
in that speech, he's a prankster like you were. He would love your pranks. I think that Benedict is the brother that loves Gregory's pranks the most.
Yeah.
They are all a piece
Because
of Edmund
it reminds him of
for the
Edmund.
younger kids. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that scripting was important because Antony can't be all of those.
Yeah.
He struggles with that. Colin is too young to be all of those. So Benedict is that middle ground. And I think the three of them all father those younger kids, and they all have a piece of Edmund in them. We have the disciplinarian, firm father. We have the cheeky, oh my gosh, I love your antics. I'm glad you're not hurt, but now was it worth it? Right? Like
Yeah.
that kind of fatherly conversation that gets had between men and boys. And
Mm-hmm.
then Colin is the doting father, the loving, the one the kids run up to and hug when
You
he
know what?
walks in the
I actually
room.
think that Penelope is going to have to be the disciplinarian between them.
Oh, Penelope will be the disciplinarian, and Colin's going to be like, but look at her face. Like,
Because
look at him. He's so sad.
as much as Penelope is soft, she's also been raised by her mother. So I think she
Yeah.
has that sterner side to her if she needs to pull it out. I mean, the same with me.
Mhm.
Like, I was always kind of the silly teacher in the school. Like, I was always like the less I was also the
Serious.
youngest. I was also
Yeah.
substantially the youngest teacher. But like I was always a bit more silly with my students. And they knew that like if I actually raised my voice, you stuffed up. You guys were being
Right.
way too rambunctious if I'm raising my voice.
Well, and I think too, like Anthony and Kate, I think will parent the same. Like they're equals. Like the way they're
Mhm.
portrayed, they're very much equals. And I think purposely, Colin and Penelope were not really portrayed as equals. We see that Colin, his purpose is to allow his wife to elevate, right?
Mhm.
So I think that I would love to see it. There's got to come a point in time where she has to chastise child, but in the moment, like it also transfers, like she's communicating with him, and it, how like in the later books, once they're married, she's always like, Colin, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's going to be a moment where little Lord Featherington's doing something. She finds out his father put him up to it, and
Yeah.
and yeah, we get the chastising of the husband along with the chastising of the child.
No, it's gonna be it's gonna be good.
Yeah, so honestly, Hyacinth and Gregory, I mean, we're kind of just talking about the babies here, but we're talking about how the elders parent them. Like
Mhm.
I don't think Eloise truly parented them at all. I don't think Francesca did either. But
I don't think Eloise has
Anthony
a
all
maternal
the way down.
like, and
Yeah,
that's
she
why
don't.
her book is so surprising because she does not have a
Yes.
maternal bone in her body, but I think she has a sibling bone. And so when it came to, we're talking book spoilers here, so if you don't want those, skip ahead.
Put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la.
Just go watch Colin teaching Penelope sex education for 10 minutes and come back. But I think it's going to be, why did my brain just go like literally blank?
You're talking about Eloise's season and her becoming a wife and mother.
Thank you. I looked at my dead fern
because
leaves.
you said go watch Colin teach Penelope sex education,
and then my brain went.
All of our minds went blank. We started thinking about
I just see those doe eyes looking up at him like, ooh, we're all excited.
Yeah,
we're all excited, girl. But I think in the books, Eloise turns up. There's these two children she had no idea about. Sir Philip never wrote about them. She's like, I came here to be a wife and now I'm a mum. Like, this is not what I
Yeah.
signed up for. And not only is she a mum, but it's basically like a Mary Poppins 2.0 kind of a situation where those kids play prank after prank after prank on her. And I think she copes with them a lot better than Sir Philip does, even though the pranks do get literally dangerous, and harm her substantially. I think the reason that she copes with them is because she grew up with brothers who learned pranking from the master, their father. So she knew how to play a prank with the best of them. And that's why she kind of plays along with the pranks and she goes and pranks them back. And that's how she bonds with them, because she doesn't know how to bond as a mother, but she does know how to bond as a sibling.
Right. She definitely treats his kids a little more like an elder sibling, which is what
Yes.
she's used to.
Yes. And so I think that's how she kind of bonds with them, because she's not going in as a disciplinarian like their not mistress, what do you call her? Governess. You know, their governess was mistreating those kids and hitting them more than she should be from memory. She was actually quite abusive with them, wasn't she, Patty?
Their governess.
Yeah.
Their governess was actually way more abusive to them than Philip could ever think of being.
Yes. So what I'm
She
saying
beat their
is,
education into them.
yes, which is why I think that Eloise going in as a sibling kind of relationship with them as an older sister rather than as a mother, I think that's why it got through to them better than if she had gone in with the, like kind of Daphne's more maternal instincts. I think they would have fought against that a lot more because they had that trauma of mother slash governess figure being either absent, abusive, emotionally detached. Like their whole experience of mothers and mother-like women in their lives was all very toxic. And so when Eloise comes along and she acts more like a sister and plays pranks back on them, I think that's why she gets through to them a lot faster.
Right.
You know, but she's not maternal per se, and I think she does learn how to be maternal with them. But I think in my mind that Eloise had always banked on, if she was to be a spinster, that would have been her, like one of her chosen courses was to, like, if she didn't have the wealth, then she would go be a governess or something.
She
Because
would
at
be
least
a
then she can
governess.
be a
Yeah.
teacher as such. She, you know, still be surrounded by education and books all day long. But I think she'd really struggle with the kid aspects of it.
Oh, yeah. She would be like, and she is, I think they're going to play out her season like Little Women. Like
That's
if
Joe
Joe
March.
never got married.
Yes.
No, like if she never got married. Like in the book, she marries Mr. Bear, which we know from history that Louisa May Alcott didn't want her to marry at all, but the publisher made her marry.
Yeah.
I think they're going to play out Eloise as like a Joe March situation, kind of if she didn't marry the way it happened in the book. Like she goes off, ends up kind of being a governess to his kids, right? Like, did he want a wife or did he want a governess?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna,
He wanted someone else to take the kids off his hands for him, really. He didn't want to parent because of the trauma that he had. But again, I digress. We're not up to that book touch. This isn't what this conversation is about. But yes, I think that's why Eloise, she does not have a maternal sibling relationship with Gregory and Hyacinth, despite the fact that she is, I'm going to say, what, 4 years older than Hyacinth? 5 years?
Something like that. Yeah.
Like it's a substantial enough gap that like that she could be more maternal rather than like more
throat chakra.
Yeah, it is enough of a gap that she could take on more of a motherly role with Hyacinth Gregory, but she definitely doesn't because it's not her vibe at all. But we actually don't really get to see Hyacinth Gregory and Eloise interact all that much outside of whole sibling dynamic or like all in the drawing room kind of thing. Like, and I get it. It's because obviously it's not Hyacinth's season. It's not Gregory's. It's a long way from their seasons, in fact, but we are seeing them more and more as the seasons progress. And I think we will see more of their dynamics with the siblings next season. They've said that we're going to get a lot more of those two siblings.
Yeah, I think these seasons coming up are going to be really great for dynamic between Hyacinth and the older girls and Gregory and the older boys, because they are getting to those ages where they're getting close to that adulthood where before they were children. I think these next few seasons we will see them more as not as children, and I think that's important. They need to interact with the older siblings so we can feel like they're they're reaching that coming of age.
And I think we're also going to get to see a little bit more of Gregory developing his friendship with Nikki, which I think is going to become like his best friend. And it's going to be a repeat of like Benedict, Colin, Will. And then it's going to be Hyacinth, Gregory, Nick of the next generation of children, of friendships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is going to be cute because I think that I do wonder whether, because there is that potential of having Nick obviously be Hyacinth's love interest for the future. I don't see it playing out that way, but it obviously is a potential, especially if what is her name? It's escape. Alice is actually, in fact, Lady Danbury's daughter.
What is her name?
It would make a lot of sense. So I think they're going to repeat history of having Gregory, Hyacinth, and Nick be those best friends, except same as Penelope, Colin, and Eloise, but with the sibling dynamic switched, where it's the two boys' best friends and the girl sister, which is more how it usually plays out in actual truth.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell, Nick is quite young compared to Hyacinth. So I don't think so, but you never know how they're going to play it out. Like they may have chosen his age before they realized how they wanted the season to play out, and they may age him in the future differently. Like they may just say, oh, he was just fronty for his age, but he's actually older, and then choose an older actor later on that has filled out, So we're not entirely sure how it will play out. But I think we are going to wrap it up there for today. And in our next episode, we will cover Colin and Eloise, Benedict and Eloise, which are our two biggest kind of sibling dynamics, and whoever else we decide
Fran
to throw.
Being by herself.
Fran be all by myself. I wanna be. Just change it up.
Yeah, I wanna be all by myself.
I wanna be.
She's doing mirror manifestations to herself, like, how do I get you alone? To herself.
Oh my god, we need to create a Francesca playlist of like, just leave me alone.
All alone songs. Yeah, all alone songs.
Dancing on my own, all by myself.
Dancing with myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of others.
So funny.
Monday.
There's plenty out there.
Wednesday.
Well, that's Friday. I'm in love. That's not I'm alone.
No, but I was gonna change the. I was getting there. I was gonna change the lyrics.
Oh, you're gonna say Friday,
I'm alone.
I'm alone.
Yeah, I was getting there, and you ruined the punchline, Patty. Because I think it's funnier when you change songs that are literally the opposite, and then make them and like sing them the opposite way. Because she's like, she's waiting for the weekend when she's alone, as if like it was a 2025 working woman. Like, because she can't wait for the weekend when she's finally alone again. Doesn't have to deal. She would have 1000% be a work from home kind of person. She ain't going into the office.
Right.
She is the kind of person who would create not telegrams, projections, so that she could project herself there, so she wouldn't have to physically be there in person. She would become an inventor just to avoid.
She would be the person that would go to her psychiatrist and get the workplace accommodation of getting to work from home, even on in-office days.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely our Francesca. Okay. Have you deleted you have.
Have I deleted what?
You did it to me again, Patty.
No, I deleted the words I had last week.
No, my outro's gone. Uh-oh. Okay, let's.
And we'll leave it there and move on to next week's episode.
No, I've got it.
If you have anything.
Delete it. I've got it. I just had to go back. You definitely did delete it today.
Dang it.
For today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode. If you have anything in particular you would like us to cover or any Bridgerton knowledge you would like to share, please head to our Facebook page, The Ladies Bridgerton. If you are enjoying our podcast, please remember to click follow on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you are listening. We are also now over on YouTube, so please head over there for exclusive content to YouTube. Patty, what have we uploaded? Patty's also been doing YouTube Shorts recently. If you were not entirely sure if you didn't know whether you wanted to commit to an entire 40-minute episode, but you were wondering what they were about, go check out our shorts because it gives little cute snippets of the videos that we have done.
Yeah, the shorts have been super fun. And basically, I'm not sitting there and picking and choosing them myself, but I've truly enjoyed watching the engagement of those. I'm still currently uploading the Sorting Hat videos over there, and we're about to record our reaction to the teaser video, which I'm excited about.
So it's so excited. I just can't hide it. Okay, once again,
Thank you for listening to the musings of two mad and preoccupied women
yours truly, Tosh the Kiwi.
and Lady Patty.